War is loud. Explosions, engines, gunfire tearing through the dark. But sometimes survival depends on what isn't seen. In World War II, smoke could mean death. A thin ribbon rising above trees. A flash in the night. A dark trail stretching across the horizon. It wasn't just evidence of activity. It was a target marker. Tonight we uncover the hidden chemistry behind World War II's smokeless fuel. The quiet scientific revolution that helped soldiers stay alive, gave armies the edge, and changed warfare forever. The deadly visibility problem. Before modern propellants, armies relied on black powder. It worked, but it produced thick white smoke that lingered after every shot. In earlier centuries, entire battlefields disappeared into clouds after volleys. By the 1940s, that kind of smoke wasn't dramatic. It was fatal. Aircraft could spot ground units from miles away. Artillery crews searched for muzzle signatures. Snipers scanned for even the faintest disturbance. One visible puff from a rifle could reveal a squad's position. One smoky vehicle could expose a convoy. Military leaders faced a harsh reality. How do you fight a modern war without announcing where you are? The shift to smokeless powder. The solution began with chemistry. In the late 19th century, scientists discovered that nitrocellulose, often called gun cotton, burned far cleaner than black powder. Properly stabilized, it produced drastically less visible smoke. By World War II, smokeless powder was standard in most military ammunition. But smokeless didn't mean invisible, because even with reduced smoke, there was still muzzle flash. At night, every rifle shot produced a burst of flame. Machine guns created rapid flickers. Artillery briefly lit up the landscape. To enemy observers, those flashes were coordinates. Fire, adjust, eliminate. So scientists pushed further. Flash suppression. The hidden edge. Here's where it gets fascinating. Chemists discovered that adding certain compounds, including potassium salts, to propellant mixtures could reduce the brightness of muzzle flash. These additives cooled the combustion gases as they exited the barrel, lowering visible light emissions. The weapon still fired at full power. The bullet still travelled at lethal speed. But the flash became muted. British cordite formulas were refined. American ball powders were improved. And these formulas were guarded carefully. Because if your enemy couldn't see exactly where you fired from, you controlled the battlefield. In night engagements across Europe and the Pacific, that subtle difference could decide who lived and who didn't. Smoke on the sea. Now, imagine commanding a warship. In earlier wars, coal-powered ships produced thick black smoke visible for miles. That smoke, well, it betrayed your position long before ships were in visual range. By the time of the Second World War, that vulnerability was just unacceptable. Oil-fired boilers replaced coal, not just for efficiency, but for stealth. Oil burned cleaner. Less smoke meant less visibility from submarines and aircraft. German U-boats scanned for smoke plumes. Allied reconnaissance planes did the same. A smoky ship wasn't just inefficient, it was exposed. So engineers refined fuel injection and combustion systems to ensure more complete burning. More complete combustion meant fewer particulates. Fewer particulates meant fewer torpedoes. The air war and high-octane fuel. The sky demanded even more precision. Aircraft engines ran at high compression and required high-octane fuel to prevent engine knock. The Allies made a critical breakthrough with 100-octane aviation gasoline. It didn't just deliver more power. It burned cleaner and allowed higher boost pressures. Cleaner combustion reduced visible exhaust trails. In aerial combat, exhaust smoke could reveal acceleration, altitude shifts, and engine strain. A struggling aircraft might emit darker smoke. A sudden puff during a climb could signal vulnerability. Superior fuel chemistry gave Allied fighters greater reliability and performance, especially during the Battle of Britain. It wasn't just horsepower. It was signature control, cleaner burn, higher performance, lower visibility. That combination shifted air superiority. Germany faced a different challenge. It lacked sufficient natural oil reserves and turned to synthetic fuel production using coal hydrogenation processes. These massive facilities converted coal into liquid fuels for tanks, trucks, and aircraft. But synthetic fuels were complex and resource-intensive. As bombing campaigns intensified, fuel quality and supply suffered. Synthetic fuel plants became primary Allied targets. Destroying them didn't just reduce supply. It strained engines. It reduced mobility. It weakened performance. Fuel chemistry became a strategic vulnerability. The war wasn't just fought with weapons. It was fought in refineries and laboratories. As World War II intensified, night combat became common, from the Eastern Front to Pacific Islands. In darkness, every flash mattered. Heavy machine guns had to fire sustained bursts without creating blinding fireballs. Artillery units required propellants that minimize flash during night barrages. Engineers adjusted grain sizes, burn rates and stabilizers to control visual signatures. Because once you fired in the dark, everyone fired back. The side that remained harder to see often survived longer. Smoke confirms presence. Flash confirms location. Remove them, and you create uncertainty. Soldiers sometimes described facing enemies who seemed almost invisible, hearing gunfire without clearly identifying its origin. It felt like fighting ghosts. Reduced visual signature didn't just protect soldiers physically, it altered morale. An unseen opponent feels more dangerous. War isn't just about firepower, it's about perception. After World War II, these combustion breakthroughs didn't disappear. Modern ammunition still uses flash-suppressed powders. Modern engines rely on refined injection systems born from wartime efficiency demands. Stealth technology, from infrared suppression to low-smoke rocket propellants, follows the same principle forged in the 1940s. Visibility equals vulnerability. The laboratories of World War II were early stealth labs, not filled with advanced composites, but with nitrates, stabilizers, and carefully engineered fuel blends. Tanks dominate history books. Fighter aces become legends. Atomic weapons overshadow everything. But the chemistry of clean combustion rarely gets attention. And yet, without smokeless powder, without flash suppression, without cleaner burning fuels, countless soldiers would have been exposed, targeted, lost. Smokeless fuel wasn't dramatic. It didn't roar louder. It simply made armies harder to see. And sometimes the greatest weapon in war is the absence of something. No smoke, no flash, no warning. The next time you watch a World War II scene where a rifle fires with barely a puff, Remember the scientists in guarded labs. Remember the classified formulas. Remember the engineers refining fuel mixtures under wartime pressure. Because behind every quiet shot was chemistry. And behind that chemistry were lives saved by staying unseen.